The stories you are about to see are real. The rewards up to $5 million are real. This is Crime Reports and Rewards with Griff Griffin and Dave Michaels, where you stay anonymous, the criminals don't. And now, this Crime Reports and Rewards special report.
If you've watched Crime Reports and Rewards since we first started in 2010, you'll know that the CSRA has at least 2 unsolved impersonating a police officer cases. Now we're being made aware of a phone scam by someone impersonating an officer being used in this area on the phone. The callers will represent themselves as local law enforcement officials, inform the victim that they have missed jury duty or have outstanding fines, and there is a warrant for their arrest. The victims are then told they can avoid arrest if they obtain a Green Dot Money Pack card to pay the fine. The victims are given a phone number to call once they've obtained the card. Once they've obtained the Green Dot card, the victims are told to call back with the card number and PIN number. Legitimate fines and fees should be paid in person or mailed directly to the appropriate law enforcement agency. When in doubt, contact the agency directly using official agency phone numbers. Crime Stoppers offers the following tips to avoid being a victim of this scam. Be suspicious of callers who demand immediate payment for any reason. Never give out personal information to anyone who emails or calls you unsolicited. Never wire money, provide debit or credit card numbers or Green Dot Money Pack card numbers to someone you do not know. Law enforcement agencies, utility companies, and governmental agencies will not contact you demanding immediate payment by Money Pack. Remember that if anyone has the number on a Green Dot Money Pack card, they have access to the funds on the card. If you receive a call of this nature, contact your local law enforcement agency, Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS, or email and text your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and unscammed. The Richmond County Sheriff's deputies are searching for a Cadillac Seville following an automobile theft Tuesday in Richmond County. The license plate reads PMK8681. If you know who the individual or individuals are that stole this caddy with license plate tag PMK8681, please call the Richmond County Sheriff's Office. Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS, or email or text your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and keep your caddies. The Columbia County Sheriff's Office is searching for these 3 people wanted for using counterfeit bills at some stores in Columbia and Richmond County. If you know who or where these suspected counterfeiters may be, please call the Columbia County Sheriff's Office, Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS, or email and text your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and stop counterfeiters.
And now, this Crime Reports and Rewards special report.
Due to the recent shooting at Payne College supposedly being caused by counterfeit money moving into a drug turf, let's take a look at how to spot counterfeit money. First, before we get into the nitty-gritty, it's important to remember to look at your money. If you see anything suspicious, then move on to the next steps. Compare your money with other bills. Observe the portrait. Observe the seals. Examine the border. Make sure the serial numbers are not matching on 2 separate bills. And finally, feel the paper. Especially the printing will be raised printing that cannot be reproduced. If you see any of these counterfeit bills, which there are millions and millions and millions of them flooding in, please call Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS or text or email your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and keep your money. And now for a Crime Reports and Rewards special report. Because there's a suspected conspiracy to steal county property and use county employees for personal gain by some of the most powerful people around, let's take a look at what the law considers to be a conspiracy. A conspiracy is two or more persons agreeing to commit an unlawful act or to accomplish a lawful end by unlawful means. Some conspiracies can be as simple and innocent-looking as changing the locks on a county-owned building and converting the use of the building and its furniture to the use of a non-governmental organization. Even using the building to raise money for a charity is conversion of county assets into a non-governmental organization's funds. Even if those funds are used for charity, the fact remains that county property was stolen in the first place. Do you, the taxpayer, want to pay taxes to support a criminal enterprise just because the suspects are on TV? Since this fraud involves someone losing something and the conspirators defrauding the victim of what he had, let's take a look at how a conspiracy to defraud is to deprive a person dishonestly of something which is his, or of something to which he is or would or might, but for the perpetration of the fraud, be entitled. Since in this case the ringleader admitted in public that she did steal county property and then dared anyone to call the police, let's look at how that public confession of stealing county property and daring the police to arrest her affect her co-conspirators. Remember, a confession may be admitted not only as evidence against its maker, but also as evidence against all co-accused implicated thereby. This happens when the co-accused, by their words or conduct, accepts the truth of the statement and goes along with the theft anyway. Also, this public confession is admissible in evidence against another conspirator, even though they were not present at the time of the theft, the confession, or the false police report. If you have any information you can give investigators about a conspiracy to convert county property or county employees' time and energies and uses into a non-governmental organization's use, then please call the Richmond County Sheriff's Office. Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS or email or text your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and bust up conspiracies.
And now, this Crime Reports and Rewards special report.
This week on Augusta Crime Stoppers Facebook page, the Support the Richmond County Sheriff's Office asked for your help, saying deputies know they'll never be rich in this profession, but the Richmond County Sheriff's Office continuously loses great deputies to other agencies due to poor pay and benefits. Call, email, or write your commissioners and let them know you support paying our public safety officials a decent salary, because in the long run, losing great deputies is costing the taxpayers more. To which Augusta Crime Stoppers wrote back, "We started looking for ways to give our deputies more pay and discovered that several citizens want to pay more taxes. All of them have residential property they want zoned to commercial so they can make more money, employ more people, and hire more deputies for more specials. They want to pay more taxes on commercial property because they can make quite a bit more money and hire more help, which means more jobs. Let your elected and anyone you know in zoning know about this. There are more than enough of those who want to pay more taxes to give every Richmond County employee a pay raise. This one thing would raise more than enough to give every deputy a cost of living increase and have quite a bit left over for other things. Crime Stoppers was on TV way back before fired former city manager Fred Russell said he had $40 million on hand to build the glorified sunroom onto the Marble Palace. Crime Stoppers said that was just crazy, that we would not be able to hold on to some of our best talent. We knew we were losing talent, and we warned the whole CSRA we would. Now we've lost them. To give you an idea of how important retaining a good officer is, for every good officer we lose, one person may be murdered. Augusta catches most of their murderers now because we've got such great talent. But as veterans leave and trainees start taking over, citizens that would have lived because the bad guy was taken off the street will begin to die unless someone or something stops them. If you want more money, more jobs, and a safer town, call Augusta Planning and Zoning Director Melanie Wilson at 706-821-1796 and ask her to approve those who want to pay more taxes so we can pay our deputies a living wage and they can save lives.
And now, this Crime Reports and Rewards special report.
Meanwhile, some good news. You've heard all the police abuse stories. We've showed videos. There's a lot of cops who are out of their jurisdiction, out of bounds on a complete power trip. But there's still some cops who care, and this man from the new NYPD force was profiled after he was pictured supposedly randomly buying and giving boots to a homeless man who literally had no shoes as the weather started to get rather freezing in New York. He asked the man his size and went into a store, bought him boots, and then brought him back to him. And that was Officer Larry DePrimo. That's all detailed in Adon Salazar's article at Infowars.com. It was spread around on the web besides that otherwise, and it helped the NYPD's public image. It increased their Facebook memberships many-fold because people are tired of seeing these abusive, out-of-control, wannabe tyrant cops. They want to see cops who still remember that they're servants, public officials, and that they're supposed to be helping the public, not harming them. But that kind of hero cop is one type of cop. The kind of hero cop I really want to encourage, that I want to call out and salute, is the First Amendment cop who has now become an internet icon. We've had Jason Burmis on and the others who've done these TSA protests throughout the week. We covered this the last couple days. Now it's been picked up in the Albany media about the sheriff's deputy at the Albany airport, Deputy Linick, who told Doug Meyer, who was running the Albany airport, tried to imply that Jason Burmis and Ashley Jessica were blocking escalators and somehow preventing travelers when nothing of the sort was going on. It was a pretty blatant intimidation attempt from those airport officials. And you've got the sheriff's deputy who told him to back off, told him his job is to uphold the Constitution, that these people handing out flyers and filming were doing nothing wrong, nothing illegal. And now he's not only been recognized for that by the Albany news outlet, Channel 13, he's also received a commendation from his department, and that department has had a flood of positive responses, great emails thanking him for upholding the Constitution, for recognizing the First Amendment and free speech rights of these critics of the TSA, Jason Burmis, who of course produced several films here at Infowars.com. And so we just want to commend Sheriff's Deputy Stan Linick and encourage all law enforcement officers out there, whether you're police department, sheriff's department, or some other outfit, you uphold the Constitution too. You stand up for someone's freedom of speech, and we'll salute you right here at Infowars every time, at least, that we hear about it.
Just so our hard-working local cops don't get in trouble in a new set of laws that have been reinforced by the Supreme Court in reference to people videotaping them at work. 3 years ago in Glick versus Cunniff, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the First Circuit upheld a man's First Amendment right to record an arrest on Boston Common. Last week in Garrett versus Weir, the court upheld a woman's First Amendment right to record a traffic stop in Weir, New Hampshire. The combination of these two decisions is a powerful message that cops may want to know about, that they can now be personally held responsible, not the county, not the city, but their paycheck, their car, their house, seized and sold to pay the judgments of people who were interfered in practicing their First Amendment rights. In the 2011 case, Simon Glick was charged with violating Massachusetts broad wiretap law, which makes it a crime to willfully commit an interception of any wire or oral communication after he recorded an arrest in which police were doing their job. The First Circuit ruled that a citizen's right to film government officials, including law enforcement officers, in the discharge of their duties in a public space is a vital, basic, and well-established liberty safeguarded by the First Amendment. Hence, Glick was exercising clearly established First Amendment rights in filming the officers in a public space. Those officers' wages are now being garnished. Some of those officers' personal things that they owned, like cars, boats, jet skis, lawnmowers, TVs, microwaves, things like that, may be seized and sold by the court to pay the judgment. Also, the officers may find it hard to find other employment. We don't want that to happen to our officers. We want our officers to keep their pay. In the case decided last week with Brian Doherty, Carla Garrick took out her cell phone after police pulled over her friend whose car she was following to his house and announced she was recording the stop. The First Circuit ruled that the First Amendment right recognized in Glick also applies to traffic stops, although it may be reasonably restricted in that context to protect the safety of officers and the public. In this case, Garrick says police never asked her to stop recording or leave the scene. They just arrested her afterwards. Based on Garrick's version of the facts, the court said she was exercising a clearly established First Amendment right when she attempted to film the traffic stop in the absence of a police order to stop filming or leave the area. Those officers' wages are being garnished. Their car, truck, house, jet ski, boat, or any personal belongings may be seized, and everything that they've worked so hard for can be sold to pay the judgment. These facts help explain why local prosecutors ended up dropping charges against people who are filming any public official or anyone in the government in a public realm, and they cannot be stopped. The police who arrested her were so keen to punish her for perceived disrespect that they not only violated her constitutional rights, they misapplied the law. What's especially significant about all of these cases is they now allow lawsuits against police officers themselves to proceed. Listen very carefully, fellow family members that are in the police department. If you violate this law now, they're going to garnish you your wages, seize your car, place a lien on your house, take any proceeds that are in a bank account, and send this to the person who the court said their rights were violated. In a case that J.D. Tusil noted a couple weeks ago, police in Chicopee, Massachusetts charged Karen Denzowit with wiretapping after she recorded her own arrest for disorderly conduct and possessing an open container of alcohol. Unlike Glick and Garrick, who openly recorded the cops, Denzowit did so surreptitiously. But that detail should not affect the constitutional analysis. The First Circuit recognized a First Amendment right to film government officials, including law enforcement officers, in the discharge of their duties in a public space. That description clearly applies to the officers who arrested Drizwick. And unfortunately, even though their wages have not begun to be garnished, their assets have not begun to be seized and sold to pay the judgment, it's almost certain that these police officers will lose up to 25% of their pay and may have cars and things that they own taken from them and sold to pay the judgment. We're on your side, Richmond County. We're on your side, Columbia County Sheriff's Office, and we want you to keep your pay. We haven't seen any news media help you understand that the court now is passing judgments on individual police officers, not the county. And the individual police officer is having to give up his pay, not the county. We want you to keep your pay. We appreciate you, and that's the only reason why we shared with you this development in the legal profession that is taking police officers' money.
Welcome back to Crime Reports and Rewards. 4th of July should be a day of fun and celebration, but it's also one of the most dangerous days of the year. You can keep your Independence Day fun and safe when you follow the proper safety tips. If you're planning on spending the holiday away, you should review our vacation special for travel safety. Do not leave clues that you are not at home. Have mail and paper deliveries stopped. Make sure your home does not look like the yard is unattended. These are two things that burglars look for while casing out homes to break into. Don't broadcast to all your friends and coworkers that you will be away, and whatever, do not post it to your Facebook account. Have a family member or trusted friend look after your home while away. If you are hosting a 4th of July event, use common sense. Secure your valuables. I know it's your friends, but friends have been known to steal. Be careful during barbecues that you do not start a fire. Be sure that all coals are completely out before leaving the barbecue unattended. Be cautious of children playing around the barbecue area. Store food properly to avoid food poisoning. Be careful of leaving food out, especially in the heat. If you're serving drinks, remember to drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. Always have a designated driver, and don't let your friends drive drunk. If you're attending a public event, use care. A fireworks display is a great attraction to draw your attention while pickpockets lift your wallet. Be aware of anyone touching you. They may be taking your money. Fireworks should be left to professionals. Statistics show that over 7,000 people each year get treatment for 4th of July related accidents. Don't be one of them. Stay safe this year. I'm Dave Michaels. Have a happy 4th of July. And now, this Crime Reports and Rewards special report.
In the state of Georgia, you can now conceal carry pretty much anywhere. This is the governor of Georgia signing the Guns Everywhere bill into law. And this is House Bill 60, the Safe Carry Protection Act, but also dubbed the Guns Everywhere bill by some, allows concealed carry permit holders to carry firearms into bars, schools, churches, and certain government buildings under certain circumstances. Now, I definitely don't think that guns and alcohol mix, but if you can handle your firearm appropriately, also same thing, if you go to school, you obviously don't want to cause any type of panic, but also if you have the proper concealment and you're not putting anybody in a state of alarm, not carrying in a measure calculated to cause alarm, hey, you know, that it's a free country, or at least it's supposed to be. And also, you can go into government buildings. As you can go into the government building here in the state of Texas, you can go into the state capitol, but if you step onto the Texas Capitol grounds with your firearm exposed, Texas DPS will pretty much drag you to the ground and illegally arrest you. I've seen them do that 3-4 times personally. That's just the things that I've personally witnessed. But Georgia, they're going in the right direction. They're not like the state of New York, where they're saying that if your gun has certain cosmetic features, you cannot have it, or in the state of California where they're trying to ban firearms. They have ATF rating, people like Aries Armor. It's just gun grabbing going on all around, but definitely appreciate you guys in Georgia sticking up for your Second Amendment rights. And they say, well, that means people are going to carry all the time. There are plenty of people who don't carry their guns. There are possible many potential gun owners, people who actually have guns currently, and they leave their guns at home, they leave their guns in the car, so it doesn't mean everybody in the state is going to be carrying. There's many irrational fears, many anti-gun groups springing up to fight these type of measures, but Armed Society is a polite society. I've been to many gun shows, I've been to many gun stores. Nobody ever got shot, nobody ever got hurt, and you bump into somebody and say, excuse me, sir, excuse me, miss, you go on about your business and everybody is okay.
We as Georgians believe in the right of the people to defend themselves, and therefore we believe in the Second Amendment. Throughout my career as a legislator, I have voted for, and as governor, I have signed legislation that protects the rights to keep and bear arms. It is a right that is ingrained in the very fabric of our nation.
Yeah, I tell you, I did. I chuckled a few times here. One of them was when some officer said, "Well, get a dog." And I have a sign in my window of my home. And it says, "We don't dial 911." And it has the head of a Rottweiler on a Rottweiler. And then it has a semi-automatic handgun. I didn't put that up to be funny. That was a message to anybody thinking about breaking into my home. I don't dial 911. I will afterwards say, "Come get this dead guy out of my house. He's bleeding out and he's messing up my carpet." All right, and that's not the sound, it's just, that's the reality. I'm not going to fool around with that. But that's the mindset I have, but I've been a cop for 35 years. All right, so I have that, I live with that every day, and it becomes second nature. I don't have to think about it. And I want law-abiding citizens, because I trust them to make those decisions as to what to do, and if they want to blow the whistle, fine. I don't tell them not to, but I don't think that's going to be very effective in some of these situations. So I want people to think about what's going to be effective, but they got to be ready up here. I took you through what led me to do it. I didn't mention it had nothing to do with Newtown. Okay, the violence that's gone on in this area, and by the way, violent crime is up nearly 10% in the city of Milwaukee in 2012. Okay, 10% increase. I think aggravated assaults are up nearly 33%. So that's what I'm responding to, not Newtown. That's what I find unconscionable. I really do. That the anti-gun movement in this country, and they lay dormant, and they've been dormant for a long time because there is no public support for the kind of nonsense that they're suggesting, and they know it. So they lay dormant, and when a situation arises, they exploit that. They exploit it. The misery and the tragedy of the people of Newtown, Connecticut, the Sandy Hook School. They exploited their tragedy for political gain. They have no soul to do something like that. I happen to support freedom. And I think the Second Amendment is about freedom. All right? It isn't about hunting. It isn't really about personal defense. There's some parallels, but it's about freedom. It's about law-abiding people being free to make decisions in their lives. That's what the Founding Fathers wanted. That's why they created that Bill of Rights. Freedom from government intrusion. This movement right now is about trying to squeeze that Second Amendment because they are exploiting this Sandy Hook and Newtown, Connecticut tragedy for political gain, and they see an opportunity here. And so they're trying to squeeze something out of this. This universal background check. That sounds good, right? Who wouldn't be for that? That had nothing to do with Aurora, Colorado. It had nothing to do with the suspect in the Sandy Hook. It had nothing to do with a background check. As a matter of fact, the guy in Aurora, Colorado, he passed the background check. The guy who, Wade Michael Phillips, I think his name is, who did the temple shooting, the sick temple shooting here in Milwaukee, right? Tragedy, right? He passed the background check. So this doesn't have anything to do with background check. What this is they're trying to find some nugget that they can take out of this and claim victory. But I say the same thing about me when Piers Morgan, I'm thinking, you know what I'm thinking in an interview? I'm sitting in that chair thinking, you have no idea what's going on the ground here. What are you talking about? All right, so that's why I'm sensitive about saying what a law enforcement executive should do. But I did say this, and I meant it. If some of these chiefs, Chief Flynn here, who's mayors against guns, spend as much energy and as much time attacking criminals, career criminals who perpetrate violence by using a handgun, we'd have a lot safer country.
You've been watching Crime Reports and Rewards with Griff Griffin and Dave Michaels, where you stay anonymous. The criminals don't. If you have any information on these or any other crimes, call our national tip line at 1-800-222-TIPS. Well, you'll stay anonymous and could get a cash reward. You can see this or any other episode of Crime Reports and Rewards on the web anytime at crimereportsandrewards.com. Crime Reports and Rewards is a production of Michaels Media.